Greetings, comic book friends. It was Wednesday very recently, which means it's time for TGIW. Thank God it is Wednesday. The best day of the week, new comic book day. Well, it finally happened. It finally happened. An actual, legit light week with a total of 6 books. I think it was just a really light, at least for Marvel. I only have one Marvel book. The rest, and no DC books. Not that I get much DC, but yeah, one Marvel book, and the rest are indies, Image and indies. Do we call it Image indie anymore? I don't know at this point. Uh, but yeah, a nice light week. So happy about that. That's easy on the wallet. And easy on the reading schedule with all the other stuff that I have to read. So it's nice to get a little break. So let's walk through what we got. I was able to read all these, and they're all fantastic. I mean, I don't know. I get good stuff. So we have Amazing Spider-Man number 18. This is getting towards the end of Dark Web, which as it goes on, I am enjoying. I still don't like what they're doing to Ben Reilly. That is a travesty. Aside from that, it's fun. But it's like, I don't know. He'd be fine if it wasn't for that gunshot wound to the head. Right? What they're doing to Ben Reilly is not great. However, MVP Rookie of the Year. What's his name? Rectep? Is it right? Is Parker backwards? The demon that gets a symbiote and idolizes Spider-Man. I get it. Like, he's goofy. He's weird. He is not serious. I love him. I absolutely love him. It's early in the year, but I'm going to go and say, at least up to this point, best new character of the year. Hands down. Last Ronin, Lost Years, number 1. So this is looking into a couple of time frames. It is, so we have the Last Ronin, right? And it looks, in the first issue, it looks a little bit after it and it looks before it. So it looks like we're gonna get the origin of the Last Ronin persona of Michelangelo. If you haven't read Last Ronin, spoiler alert, I guess. But if you haven't read it yet, that probably means you don't care. So, Last Ronin was Michelangelo. Also, that was known decades ago because it happened in the original TMNT. Anyway, it looks a little bit before and then after after the storyline of Last Ronin, and it's interesting. I like that it's a normal comic format and not a magazine format. I like the magazine format for the Last Ronin because it did feel like it was more of an event than it was. But if we're gonna have like a bunch of Last Ronin stories, which I'm all for, I think switching those to a normal comic format is the right choice. So I'm glad that we did that. But this was good. I'm curious to see both sides of the timeline, the before and the after of the Last Ronin story. Junkyard Joe number 4. I can't talk enough about how much I love what Jeff Johns is doing in this, what is it called? The Unnamed universe. It's great. Everything's been great so far. I mean, not that there's been a lot, but Geiger was great. Junkyard Joe is fantastic. So a presumably experimental robot is given to a troop in Vietnam, and later on one of the members of those troops starts writing a Peanuts-esque cartoon. It takes place during war, so it's not Peanuts-esque, but it's that sort of drawing style and humor that's in that. Maybe more of a what's that war comic strip? Beetle Bailey. Maybe more of a Beetle Bailey sort of vibe to it. And this is years and years later. He's an old man, and then Junkyard Joe like shows up, like the original Junkyard Joe, and he can't like talk or anything. So, like, what are you doing here? But it's very endearing. It's very sweet. The first 3 issues were definitely sort of learning about the characters. This issue, stuff starts to like, okay, what's going on here? Stuff is happening, but it is fantastic. The Ends number 3. This is actually the end of this series. This is a Bad Idea book. Most of their limiteds are 4 issues. This was 3 issues. This is very, very good. It's very, I talked about the last issue, I think it was last week. It's very frustrating to read because you know that there are the people, some of the types of people that are portrayed in this actually exist. But it's also great because, so it's a group of neo-Nazis wanting to start something in a small town. The really great part of it, and there's like backstory between these, the main characters and whatnot, but the best part of it is that from the local VFW, soldiers that fought in World War II are like, nope, not again. And they do it like they work with the police because it's a small town. The police aren't a big presence, and it's like all of these skinheads are coming from other places, right? Not just from this local town. So they're overwhelmed. But yeah, the veterans are like, nope, not happening, and they join with the local police force, and they work on taking care of things. The story itself, I think, the main storyline of these characters, it's very engaging, especially it's a couple. The female in the couple, she's starting to learn some things about how she's been living her life and what she's been taught. And the end of their arc kind of ends abruptly, where I feel that there could definitely have been more exploration there. Maybe more redemption. I feel that there was something left on the table, which is unfortunate. It definitely feels like there should be an issue 4, but as far as I can tell, there's not, because the last page it says the end. It's not to be continued or whatever. But very, very good story, as frustrating and saddening as it is. Saga 61. And it feels like it's been a while since we had a saga. It comes out fairly irregularly nowadays. Yeah, so I don't know. I think I would be more interested and engaged in Saga if it kept to a more regular schedule. As it is, I feel like every couple of months I'm getting a little bit of a much larger story. And while the story isn't that complicated, and I can easily remember, like, okay, yes, this is what's going on, by the time the next issue comes out, it's like I've kind of stopped caring. Like, you have to keep your readers engaged, and having these long breaks between individual issues. Now, if you want to have breaks between arcs, where the arcs come out on a regular basis, fine. I mean, that's essentially the same, similar to like you read in trades, right? Like, at least let me ingest this one story arc. But to have issues coming out once every 2-3 months, it's tough. It's tough to care as much as I should. And lastly, A Legacy of Violence. We're in issue 4. We still haven't learned a lot about what's going on with this. I forget what they call this. Something, the mask face killer, the skull face killer, or the ghost face killer. No, that's not it. Um, but he is obviously targeting like this hospital and people in the hospital and around the hospital. There is something. It's something from the past that is coming back, but we don't know yet. Is it something from the hospital? Is it itself? Is it just because there are people at the hospital that were involved in whatever this thing was? We don't know yet. There's definitely a mystery aspect to it, along with like this serial killery type vibe. But it's very good. So nice short week, but I couldn't get off that easy. It would have been nice, but sometimes things don't work out that way. The latest, and I think this might be the last, collection of Manifest Destiny is out. So Volume 8, which collects 43 through 48. Let's see. The long and terrifying journey is almost over, so this is either probably the last or second to last issue, just reading from the back. But I don't want to flip through and have anything spoiled. But this book is great. I can't recommend this enough. I'm glad I'm reading it in trade. I think it is split up very nicely into these arcs and reads very, very well that way. So 6 issues in a trade alone, that's still a pretty decent size. Like it's under what I normally do spend. But again, I can't be given a full break. So one of the stores, as I'm close to leaving, the owner, who I know very well, worked with for a number of years, knows my collecting goals and things like that. He's like, we got some Daredevils in. Like, you bastard. I'm like, oh, because he knows I'm going for this full run of Daredevil. And I'm like what? So what are we doing? He's like, well, you're probably not that interested in it. It's a lot of, it's silver. It's a lot of silver stuff, which is great, but it's not in great shape. The collector it came from, they weren't the original collector. He was collecting things, and didn't care a whole lot about condition. He just wanted the books, which is fine. Like, that's a perfectly valid way to collect. Like, I just want the book. I don't care what condition it's in. I just want the book. I get it. That's a great mindset to have, to get more for less. I understand. I like to strike a balance in there, and that I will give up having more to have what I do have to be a little bit nicer looking. That's just my collection style. It's not right, or neither way is right or wrong. It's just collection style. So he was like, I don't think you're really going to be interested in what's in there. And like, you never know, man. You never know. There's some stuff like that Silver Age to Bronze stuff. If it's just like total filler, like if the cover's not interesting, nothing important or like really crazy happens in it, I don't mind a little bit lower grade. I still have my like kind of standards and what I'm looking for. But like, you never know. It's like, all right, I'll bring it out and look through it. And I'm glad that I did. And he wasn't lying, right? There was a Daredevil #1 without a cover. There was a Daredevil 4 that had very obviously been used as a coaster. Like, there was like rough stuff. But in between that, there were some decent books that I needed. So I ended up getting 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, I pulled 13, and they weren't priced yet because they had just come in. I left and came back later after they'd been priced, and there was one that I put back, which I figured I was going to put back because just like no matter what the price was, like I don't know about it wasn't quite the condition that I wanted for that book, so I put that back. But I was curious what it was priced at. But the stuff that I end up getting for what it is, and some of them are some of the pricier books in the Daredevil run that because they have not first appearances but appearances of other characters that while it's cool and significant, I don't want to be paying $100 for them. So I'm okay with like a 4.0 around that area for those kinds of books. So instead of paying $100 for a 6.0, a fine or something like that, paying $100, I'm paying $40 to $50 or something that's worth it to me, as long as they present nicely enough. And in these cases, a couple of them did. Some of them are complete filler, but yeah. But a nice set, and so what did I say? 12 books. When I only needed 44, 12 books out of 44 is pretty good. It puts me down to 32 books. Not too bad. So what did I pull out? We have Daredevil number 12. So this is featuring Kazar. It's a two-part story. There's 12 and 13, both feature Kazar. This is also the first appearance of the Plunderer, which, okay. But I mean, it's not a bad looking copy. I mean, it's in Mylar. Everything looks better in Mylar. The backs of these are kind of rough. Nothing that a good cleaning wouldn't do miracles for. Whether or not I want to do that is another story, but it is possible to get these better. Well, this is the lowest one, 12. It's in preteens, but it's in the 10s, so that's a pretty good one. This is one of the higher price ones, usually higher price ones. Daredevil number 37 because it's a Doom appearance. It's a great cover. The back it's rough, but the front presents very, very well, and the back can be cleaned up. Something like this I might clean up. I'm not sure. I can't clean everything. There's too much, and I have to give priority to customers, right? So, but good to have this. This is one of the pricier sort of non-keys in the run, especially early on. Daredevil number 42. This is the first appearance of the Jester. Again, it's questionable key. It is a first appearance, but the Jester. A lot of white did be cleaned up and whatnot, but yeah, it was a good pickup. One of the other ones that is a bit more because of the guest star is Daredevil number 43, guest starring Cap. Again, a very well presenting book. I'm happy with this in my collection, without having to pay the $100 or whatever that it might normally go for, it might otherwise go for in a little bit higher grade. I'm perfectly happy with this. This presents a lot better than it is because the back is gross, but could clean it up if I absolutely feel necessary. We have pure filler, Return of the Jester, Daredevil number 45. More filler here, Daredevil number 49. I mean, it's filler, but it's Silver Age Daredevil, right? It's not like garbage. But when I say, filler, it's not a significant issue, other than it just being old. It is crazy to think, though, like, the 60s, man, the 60s. This paper was from the 60s. It's crazy. Again, Daredevil number 53. This has something, it has a printer's crease down there. If this was an actual crease, like a post-production crease, I probably wouldn't have gotten it, just because of where the crease is, like right across his face. But printer's creases, production crease, I don't really mind that much. I feel that's part of the history of the printing of the book, because it happened a lot, not a lot, but it happened in those days. So it doesn't bother me that much. Now, a post-production crease is a little bit, again, obviously those happened. And it's part of the history of that individual book. But those bother me a bit more. Daredevil number 69. It's a Black Panther appearance, but this one doesn't go for quite as much as the Doctor Doom or the Captain America appearance. Let's see. So, now we're getting into some bronze. Number 86. It looks like is it the Ox? Yeah, the Ox. The one of the books that I wanted to the one that I had picked out and decided not to get was number 15. I think it's 15, which is an Ox appearance, and I just really really liked that cover, so I wanted to be in better shape. But yeah, Daredevil does have history with the Ox. Minus the rest of the enforcers. But I mean, other than that, it's filler. We have some Daredevil Black Widow, so Daredevil number 98. Some of these Daredevil Black Widow books can go for a bit just because of Black Widow being there. This one has some... Oh, no, it doesn't. That's on the bag. Never mind. This is better than what I thought it was. Not a bad-looking copy. It has a date. I'm okay. I used to be pretty anti-date. I still don't like stamps that much. It depends upon the book and the era of the book, I suppose. I prefer to not have it, but it doesn't bother me that much. It's nowhere near a deal breaker for me. Again, depending upon the era of the book. And then also, this was kind of great. I picked up the last two annuals that I needed. So Annual 1, which is it's a fairly good copy. There's foxing on it, which brings it down. But other than that, it's a really good looking copy. Like the square bound is really nice. So good with that. And then Daredevil 4. And this is actually a really really nice copy. Out of all the books that he had. Daredevil Annual 4 is the one that looks really good. And like, I don't know. It's nothing important. I mean, it's Submariner and Black Panther. That's cool. I'm sure it's a good story. I've not read it yet, but it is the most current of everything here. I think 76. I'm not sure what year exactly the later ones are in, but it's close towards the end there. But yeah, a nice 12 book boost for the Daredevil run down to 32 issues. There were 2 full short boxes of Daredevil books. I left a lot behind that are on my need list, just because he was right. A lot of them are just in really really rough shape, and they didn't meet my own personal criteria, so I unfortunately had to leave them behind. Which is actually probably better. If this chunk set me back enough without it, being double this stack or triple the stack or whatever. But if I got every book that was in there that I needed, it wasn't a full run. There were others that were missing, and there was a little bit of volume too. But there were probably about maybe 10, 15 books that are on my need list that I left behind because of the condition. And some important ones. Like there was a number 5, which was the first Matador. There was a number 9, which was just, it's the last single digit issue. Nothing super significant, but the cover's really cool. Some others in the 10s. I mentioned the 15. There were some others as well. They just weren't up to snuff, for better or worse. But I'm very very happy with what I was able to get and the deal that they cut me. But they always take good care of me there because, for a number of reasons, I always come back. I buy a good amount of stuff from them. So they and I've also, I used to work there years and years ago, so we're cool. But I'm really appreciative of that continued relationship. But that's it. Yeah. So I was like, man, the nice light week, cool. I'm gonna get out of here. Under $50. Nope. Nope. But it's all good. I'm happy with the results, and now that much closer to the full run. But it seems that somebody over here, Wendigo's getting mouthy, so I suppose she's saying, "You've been talking for too long. Shut up. Let's wrap it up and give me some food." So I better go do that before she starts gnawing on my hand. So that's all. Like, comment, subscribe, and of course, don't forget to make yours Titan. This video was brought to you by Titan Comic Pressing. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Titan Comic Pressing LLC.